My name is Eugene Harrison, and I'm a 35-year-old IT professional with a passion for golf. I joined the company about 6 months ago, where my role primarily involves system development and handling various tasks, such as making copies to support my colleagues. My days are busy and fulfilling, but from the outset, I have been labeled as less than useful. I don't socialize with anyone in my department outside of work, so I usually spend my lunch breaks alone on the rooftop. Things took a turn in April when a personnel change occurred. Our department's former boss was transferred, and Jennifer Parker, a new manager known for her exceptional management skills rather than engineering expertise, took over. The previous boss had complained about engineers working excessive overtime and the associated costs. Jennifer, who is strikingly beautiful and 5 years younger than me, quickly captured the attention of the department. Her inaugural address caused quite a stir among the men, and I was instantly captivated by her presence. Despite the rumors about her looks, she was even more stunning in person, exuding both beauty and competence. Like many of my male colleagues, I became an admirer. However, Jennifer didn't seem to think highly of me. She perceived me as an underperforming employee. It became clear that she was carefully observing everyone to get a grip on the department. Within a week, she started assigning tasks with precision. Over the next month, there was a noticeable reduction in overtime and errors, while morale and job satisfaction improved significantly. I felt a sense of relief, especially since I had often been on the receiving end of previous frustrations. Jennifer's arrival coincided with a project deadline, so the welcome party was delayed by about a month and a half. By then, she had already become well integrated into the department. When the party finally took place, it was casual and lively, with a relaxed, no-holds-barred atmosphere. With the project behind us, spirits were high. I don't drink alcohol at social gatherings, so I sipped on my soft drink while observing everyone progressively getting drunk. Aside from a few new recruits like Sally and her group, not many people engaged with me, though I hope that might change come winter. During a conversation with the younger staff about travel, Jennifer joined us. She had been encouraged to drink quite a bit and was noticeably inebriated, her usually sharp and focused demeanor replaced by a more disheveled appearance with half-closed eyes. "You had too much to drink, Jennifer," I said, trying to steady her as she struggled to stay upright. The new recruits looked concerned. "I'm not drunk. You're all just teasing me," she giggled, trying to deny her condition. It was clear she was quite tipsy. "Stop talking only to the younger ones, Eugene. Talk to me too, or don't you want to mingle with a younger female boss?" she said, leaning in closer, her words slurred and her balance wavering. I wanted to create some distance, but I was concerned she might fall if I moved away. The new recruits, likely uneasy about the situation with the boss, quickly excused themselves, leaving Jennifer and me alone at a corner table. "Come on, Jennifer, sit up straight," I said, trying to help her balance by gently pushing her shoulders. She swayed and struggled to maintain her posture. "Can't you lend me your shoulder? It's not like it's going anywhere," she mumbled, her words barely coherent as she acted more like a child. Her legs swung around, and one of her high heels flew off and disappeared under the table. Jennifer, surprised by the sudden loss of her shoe, bent down to look for it, her face pressed against the floor. She then burst into laughter, clearly amused by her own antics. "Seriously, Eugene, you always have that serious look, but I can tell you're actually really good at your job," Jennifer said, puffing out her cheeks as she spoke. Her words took me by surprise. As far as I knew, only the CEO was aware of my background, and it seemed unlikely that Jennifer would be informed. Was she picking up on something from my usual behavior? "You're underestimating me," she continued playfully, giving me a weak cat punch. I'm not a fan of alcohol or drugs, and this situation was quickly becoming uncomfortable. "Could someone help me with Jennifer?" I called out to the busy tables around us. A colleague came over to assist. Despite her condition, Jennifer stubbornly clung to my arm. Jane, a colleague who had joined the company at the same time as Jennifer, informed me that she had called Jennifer's sister to pick her up. A taxi was on its way. Jane chuckled, revealing that Jennifer, despite her low tolerance, had a fondness for alcohol. By this point, Jennifer had started to doze off while still holding onto my arm. "You've become her favorite," Jane laughed, observing the scene. About 15 minutes later, Jennifer's pickup arrived. "I apologize for the trouble my sister has caused," a woman who resembled Jennifer said when she arrived. Her demeanor was markedly different, not at all like a corporate worker. I'm Kate, Jennifer's sister. I'm really sorry for any inconvenience she's caused, she said, her apology making me feel a bit awkward. Kate had a cab waiting outside the bar, so I helped Jennifer into it. During this time, I noticed that Kate kept glancing at me, which made me feel somewhat uneasy. Is there something on my face? I asked, checking my face with my hand. Kate shook her head and asked, Are you a systems engineer? I explained my job to Kate, confirming that I was a systems engineer but mostly handled various tasks. Kate tilted her head in a curious, almost youthful gesture that I found oddly endearing. It reminded me of the uneasy feeling I'd had when I first met Jennifer. The inexplicable discomfort lingered even after they had left in the cab. The next day, as soon as I arrived at work, Jennifer grabbed my arm and said, I'm really sorry. I heard I was a real bother yesterday. She continued to apologize, which made me feel a bit guilty. It's no big deal. You were just drunk, I replied, trying to downplay the incident with a joke. It seemed that Jennifer had been scolded by Kate and instructed to apologize to me. I'm really sorry, Jennifer said, her expression genuinely remorseful. Don't worry about it. It was just a company party. I didn't mind at all. Jennifer appeared visibly relieved and smiled. Her smile had a different effect on me compared to the night before, but I decided to keep my feelings to myself. About a month and a half had passed since the party. My days continued to be filled with various tasks, but I felt a sense of fulfillment. As usual, I headed to the rooftop for lunch. There was a small chapel located on the rooftop of our building. I always take my lunch on the rooftop, where I offer a daily prayer. Usually, my favorite spot is empty, but today, I found it already occupied by a new employee, Sally. Known for her quick learning among the new hires, she was sitting alone, crying with a trembling voice. I considered leaving her to her privacy but decided against it. I approached her gently to avoid startling her. She looked up in surprise then, upon seeing me, seemed to lose her composure and sat back down. Is everything all right? Did something happen? I asked, taking a seat beside her. Tears continued to spill from her large eyes. I searched in vain for a handkerchief, then handed her a packet of tissues I had picked up from the subway station on my way to work. I may not be able to do much, but if you want to talk about it, I'm here, I offered. She sniffled and began to explain. Apparently, she had made a mistake at work and couldn't fix a bug she was responsible for. The security system, which was crucial for a major client's project, was in her hands. I checked the date on my watch. At this rate, she wouldn't meet the deadline. Have you talked to any senior staff? The project is managed by a team, not just one person, I suggested, hoping to offer some practical advice. I suspected that Sally, a new hire, was being overwhelmed with work. She nodded, explaining that she had asked for help, but everyone else was too busy with their own tasks. With the deadline looming, it seemed they were either too envious of her skills or unwilling to assist, leaving her with a crucial responsibility. After some thought, I decided to help her on one condition. She had to keep it a secret that I had assisted her. She was surprised but agreed with a simple, please. That afternoon, I worked on the program between my other tasks. To my relief, I found and fixed the bug fairly quickly. I also made a few additional improvements. By the end of the day, the system program was corrected. I quietly returned it to Sally, who was astonished. What? Already? Keep it a secret, I whispered, placing a finger over my lips. She nodded in understanding. As the deadline approached, everyone was scrambling, and I thought my help would go unnoticed. However, Jennifer, who had been closely monitoring everything, noticed something. The next morning, right after the meeting, she called me over. I was caught off guard. I had underestimated Jennifer's ability to scrutinize and oversee the department. It was a mistake to think I could deceive her. Well, I struggled to find the right words. Jennifer stood up, clearly frustrated. You fixed this program, didn't you, Eugene? She asked, her tone sharp. It's impossible to find and correct a bug and rebuild it in such a short time. What's going on? I looked into your background because I was curious. Even the erased parts. Why are you just a general affairs officer when you're clearly more capable than anyone else in this department? Are you trying to make a fool of me? Jennifer couldn't conceal her anger and raised her voice at me. I was puzzled by her reaction. Whether I chose to work or not, and how I use my skills should be my prerogative. To be honest, it seemed an overreaction on Jennifer's part. I was torn between revealing the truth or resigning from my job. Jennifer's irrational anger irked me. Just as I was about to respond, The department door was flung open with a bang. Heavy footsteps approached us. "Who made this security program?" demanded a voice. It was Kate. Sally, still trembling, mumbled, "It was me." Kate stormed towards Sally. Seeing Kate's approach, Sally recoiled, her eyes brimming with tears, fearing a reprimand for her mistake. Panicked, I stepped forward. "I thought it was me. I did it," I said, raising my hand to take responsibility. Kate halted and turned to face me, a grin spreading across her face. "I thought, why, Kate?" I asked, confused. Jennifer explained, "Kate is a white hat hacker hired by this company. Her role is to find vulnerabilities by breaking the security systems we built." It turned out Kate had reviewed my program last night and was evidently displeased. Kate, standing before me, studied me intently. "It's been a while, Eugene. Don't you remember me?" As she gathered her long hair into a ponytail, I recognized her. My memories flashed back to high school during a summer coding program in the UK, designed to teach system programming to select students. I recall that she was one of the few younger participants. Although we didn't interact much due to the age gap, she had frequently approached me with questions. That was Kate. Her hacking skills had far exceeded those of the college and high school students I was with, and I had been in awe of her natural talent. It was clear she had a gift that couldn't be matched by mere hard work alone. I decided to stay and study in the UK for the exchange program, and I hadn't seen her since. "Do you work as a handyman here?" Kate asked, her tone dismissive. "Don't be ridiculous," I replied. "I know you have more talent than anyone else here. Why are you holding back?" Kate's frustration was evident. The program was too well done for her liking. "How I use my talent is my business," she retorted. Her irritation was palpable, and I could no longer hide my own frustration. As we glared at each other, Jennifer stepped between us. Without warning, she slapped me across the face with a sharp, resounding smack. For a moment, I was stunned, unable to process what had just happened. When I realized it was Jennifer who had slapped me, I was truly shocked. "Why don't you utilize your talents?" Jennifer demanded, her voice filled with a mix of anger and desperation. "Why? I yearn for that talent so much. I feel like I'm choking, receiving the same gift as Kate." Jennifer's anger seemed to dissipate in an instant, replaced by tears that welled up in her eyes. Despite the conflict, her vulnerability was palpable. Jennifer's words struck a deep chord. I was struggling to understand the connection between her emotions and Kate's talent. It wasn't Kate's fault, and it wasn't Jennifer's either. It felt like a cruel joke from fate that I was caught in the middle. Jennifer dashed out into the hallway. Kate, still looking down, said, "Go after her. Take responsibility. Twins are strange. They always want the same things. I have the best gift, so Eugene, you can give yours to Jennifer." I couldn't see Kate's face, but her words triggered a memory from that summer vacation. I recalled how, on the last day, Kate had wrapped a small piece of wire around my finger and said, "Please remember to find me when we grow up. I'll become your wife." At the time, I thought it was a childish joke and had forgotten about it. "I'm sorry, I have to go," I said, and with those words I hurried after Jennifer. I saw her turning the corner of the hallway and heading up the stairs to the rooftop. "Wait, Jennifer," I called out, but she didn't stop. I heard the loud bang of the rooftop door opening. When I reached the rooftop, I found Jennifer hunched over, hugging her knees beside the small chapel. Her face was buried in her arms. I quietly sat down next to her, giving her the space she needed while offering my silent support. "I'm sorry," I said softly. "I said some horrible things earlier. I wanted to apologize for my previous arrogance, even though I knew my apology might come across as another form of arrogance." Jennifer shook her head slightly, signaling that my words weren't necessary. "It's not something you should apologize for, Eugene. I'm sorry for speaking without knowing the full story," she replied, her voice trembling. She raised her head, revealing her red eyes. "Just want you to listen to my story for a little while." As she spoke, I began sharing my own story. I told her about my time working as a systems engineer after returning from the UK. Everything seemed to be going well until a friend, who had started a successful company, began spreading rumors that I had stolen someone else's work. This friend tarnished my reputation and claimed my accomplishments as his own at industry events. It felt like everything I had worked for was slipping away. I became disillusioned and unwilling to trust anyone or use my talents for work. It was the CEO of this company who reached out to me during that low period. We had previously worked together, and he hired me with the understanding that it was okay to take things slowly. This was a story I had never shared with anyone before. Jennifer listened intently, her expression serious as I shared my story. After my confession, I felt an unexpected lightness, as if a burden had been lifted. I told her that despite my hard work, I felt I wasn't good enough compared to someone like Kate. Jennifer explained that she had worked hard to develop her own skills, but it hurt her to see someone like Kate, who seemed to excel effortlessly. Her frustration had been misdirected toward me, and she admitted to taking it out on me. Jennifer's sideways glance, filled with a childlike vulnerability, contrasted sharply with her usual professional demeanor. It was endearing and reminded me of her multifaceted personality. Her confession, "I want to use my talent for you from now on," felt like a lifetime declaration. Jennifer's surprised reaction, her wide eyes and flushed cheeks, was incredibly cute and charming. "Are there any lies in what you just said?" she asked, her eyes searching mine. "Of course not. In sickness and in health," I began, but Jennifer's hands stopped me, her face bright red as she looked away. "Isn't that a bit too soon?" she said curtly. "That's how serious I am," I replied. Standing up, I extended my hand to her. Without hesitation, she took it, and the woman who stood before me was now poised and professional once more. "Then start working hard from today. Don't hold back your skills," she said firmly, and I couldn't help but feel that this was the beginning of a new chapter for both of us. As I looked at Jennifer in her wedding dress, radiant and happy, I reflected on how our journey had brought us here. Despite the initial challenges and misunderstandings, we had grown together, supporting each other through our respective struggles. The bond we formed went beyond just professional respect. It turned into something deeply personal and meaningful. "I promise to make you happy. I want you to smile and be in a good mood every day," I said with sincerity. Jennifer's response was a quiet nod, her eyes filled with warmth and assurance. "I'm ready to walk through life together with you from now on," she replied, her voice steady and filled with conviction. Looking back, I realized that working alongside Jennifer had transformed from a challenging experience into a journey of mutual growth and support. As we stood there, ready to embark on our new life together, I felt a profound sense of contentment. The future was bright, and I was grateful for the chance to be by Jennifer's side, sharing in the joys and challenges of life together.